Good morning, John Gilkison here, Aerostealth. Um, Today is Tuesday, October 29th, 2024. And yesterday we had an interesting morning. We went to Casa Ford and Lincoln in El Paso and test drove a Ford Lightning Pro. And as you may know, we currently have a 2014 um, Ford pickup truck, an EcoBoost, with a 36-gallon gas tank, and I've towed a fifth wheel with it up to 270 miles on one tank. So, and the thing can have in the mid 600 miles of range without towing. So, um, there's there's quite a towing penalty, towing a fifth wheel trailer. Um, we're talking an RV here, uh, for camping. And I've generally run around 9 miles per gallon with my old trailer, and it looks like I'm doing about the same with the new trailer, which is slightly shorter and lighter. But so anyway, the uh, the operational cost for a gas vehicle is just tremendous. We have tried to limit our driving of the Ford F-150 we have because it's our second vehicle. It's not a primary driver. We tried to limit it to 100 miles a month, or excuse me, 100 miles a week, or less, or about 5,000 miles a year. And we've been unsuccessful at that. It turns out my records are showing me I'm averaging more like about 10,000 miles a year in the thing, because we not only use it to tow the trailer, but we use it to go to the landfill, do truck things, haul things. If we need two vehicles, one of us is going one way and one of us is going the other, we of course use the truck then. And I also want to operate the truck at least once a week to keep it in good operational order. I don't want to leave it set for 2 or 3 weeks at a time and get into it and then find out I have a dead battery, or it's just not good on gasoline vehicles to leave them set that long a period of time. So, and it's 10 years old and it has 90 some thousand miles on it. So we're beginning to look around for a replacement truck. While the truck we have still has a great deal of value, it's could be sold to a private buyer for around 15,000 easily. And so now that said, this spring we're going to tow our trailer to the Florida Keys, and logistically that's quite an operation. Um, we're also going to South Padre Island, so we're looking at 4,600 mile trip, and it might be the last hurrah for our gas vehicle, because I don't plan any long trips towing a trailer like that. It's very expensive. Fuel cost alone is really something. Um, as you can figure it, you're looking at around 500-600 gallons of fuel. At $3 a gallon, that's $1,800, $1,500 to $1,800 just for this trip. So um, now that said, um, would a Ford Lightning with 320 miles of range be able to make it for towing this trailer? Yes, it can do it easily, but the range is going to drop significantly from 320 miles down to around 100 miles. So can I get between charge points with 100 miles? And it turns out I can. And you're only going to charge to 80%, maybe 90% at these places. And excuse me a minute. I did a hypothetical trip on a Better Route Planner to Denton, Texas to visit a friend up there. And my biggest problem was making it from Eastland to Fort Worth, where it's 120 miles between chargers. It's just too far. But however, the Fords have access to the Tesla charging network now, so that kind of changes the equation. And if you had a long stretch like 120 miles between chargers, there's things you could do to make it happen. And I'll give an example of this. This morning I went on and watched a video on YouTube by TFL trucks, the fast lane. And they were towing 6,000-pound trailers, RVs, with a Ford Lightning and with a regular gas truck. And even the regular gas truck only made 100, with a 24-gallon tank, only made 150 some miles of range towing. And the Ford Lightning only made 90. And they just thought this was a major coup that this gas truck did this, and the Ford Lightning just wasn't really good for towing. And they're wrong about all this. Number one, they chose one of the worst trailers they could find. They found a tow hauler, which is 12 feet tall. And anyway, it's also a tongue mount. And it turns out there's advantages to fifth wheels because it brings the trailer body in closer to the truck. It closes that gap. It's called a gap closure. So anyway, my trailer's between 7 and 8, but mass isn't the most significant issue here. It is aerodynamics. So anyway, my point is a Ford Lightning essentially has a 3.88 gallon gas tank. In electrical energy gallons equivalents. So if they put 3.88 gallons of gasoline in a gas truck and tried this towing, they would only make it 35 miles at best. So their analogies are just crazy. They're skewed way off on how to compare things. And of course you can tow 150 miles if you're carrying let's say 4 to 24, 6 times more energy on board. Well, of course you can. Even if you're carrying 6 times more energy on board and you're wasting 3 times your energy efficiency's 3.5 times less. So it's just crazy what they're doing. They don't seem to understand the actual physics of the whole situation. So yes, I would be inconvenienced if I had an electric truck on towing my trailer. But I think after this Florida Keys trip, we're not going to want to make any really long distance trips. And all I have to do is have chargers, less than 100 miles apart in order to make it. And if you're going on a trip and you're only traveling 300 miles in a day, you might have 2 or 3 charging stops. And then what would be ideal is when you reach your destination is to have charging there overnight. Level 2, in other words. You could get the battery back up to 80% before you leave. That would be ideal. And I can do that. One of the tricks that I was looking at was let's say we go to Rockhound State Park, which isn't a park that has isn't full up with trailers all the time, and we can get 2 camping spots, and basically it's $14 for a site for one vehicle. That's a bargain for access to 50 amp service, 240 volts. So you can imagine, let's say we got 2 campsites and we pull in with our trailer, okay, and we unhook and we take the truck over to the second campsite and plug it in at 32 amps, 240 volts. By the next day, we could be at 100%. And it cost me $14. And I've done the math, and it would cost me well over $30 at a DC fast charger. So there's a savings right there, and both time and money. I've cut my kilowatt hour rate way down, over 56 cents a kilowatt hour at a DC fast charger, and I've saved an hour or so of time. So this is one way to do things. Of course, you can't do that in each and every instance, but I'm just saying the potential's there, and it can be done. But I figured we would save about $100 a month, easily, if we're driving 10,000 miles a year, and of course it's not all towing, it's just regular running around, and we could save easily $100 a month on gasoline, because it might only cost me, but let's say $30. I'm spending $130 for fuel every month, and I'm saving. It's only costing me $30 for electricity in my garage at 5 cents a kilowatt hour to charge the truck. It's just a win-win on that. Now, that said, the price of the vehicle is the obstacle for us. We're not in a higher income bracket or anything, and we've already bought a travel trailer this year, and we bought a new car, an Ioniq 5. However, next year after this Florida Keys trip, we could take a more serious look at this. And what we're looking at is a Ford Lightning Pro can be had for $60,000. And by the time you factor in selling my truck for $15,000 and getting a $7,500 federal tax rebate from the government, you could easily bring the price down to $37,500. Okay, so if you financed, let's say $40,000, that would be equivalent to what I bought my 2014 Ford truck for back in the year 2014, 10 years ago. I paid $37,500 for that truck, and I literally could buy a new Ford Lightning pickup truck with 320 miles of electric range for, in the same ballpark, $37,500 to $40,000 financing. And so that's very compelling. Now, that said, I still don't know whether we can do it or not. We need to take some steps to reduce our cash flow out, our current cash flow out. So, for example, we're having to refinance the Ioniq 5 simply because we were forced into a higher interest rate to get $8,000 off the vehicle by Hyundai. But 6 months have elapsed, so we can refinance it and lower our payments on it. And if interest rates lower over the next several months, which I think they will, we might be able to redo our house and lower the monthly mortgage payments on it quite a bit also. So we'll see what happens. But obviously, several $100s a month in truck payments are not something to take lightly. So, and my hair's not on fire to do any of this just yet, but I would love to do it, of course. So, there you have it. This is the reason I shot this video this morning. I think this is a compelling deal out there right now. I'm worried about the fact that will this kind of deal be available several months from now. I think it will. It happened to be this Ford Lightning Pro we drove was a 2023, so they're also anxious to sell it. And it was white, not our favorite color. Also, over the Ford Flash, Lightning Flash, it's a more stripped truck. I mean, it doesn't. It still has a lot of bells and whistles, but it eliminates a few things which really aren't a deal breaker for us. We're used to using our truck not as a daily driver, but just as a utility vehicle. So, not having power mirrors, for example, or stuff like that, it's just not that important to us. So, and we really like the truck, and they really ride great. So, uh, there you are. Everyone take care. That was a lot of fun going down there and test driving that truck, and it opened up some possibilities for us. And I've been doing a lot of number crunching since then, and it looks like potentially it's could be something that's doable. So we'll talk to you down the road. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.